Matthew Mitchell, welcome to the Way of Champions podcast. Jerry and I are honored to have you on.
I am thrilled to be with you, gentlemen, today, and I appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to it.
Well, you're coming to us from your home in Lexington, Kentucky, where you spent a giant part of your career as the head coach at University of Kentucky women's basketball. Kind of a basketball hotbed there in Kentucky. They kind of pay attention down there, don't they?
Just a little bit. There's just a tad bit of interest here in basketball here in the bluegrass.
Yeah. Well, we're recording this in March, and everyone who loves college basketball, loves March Madness. And here you are, not coaching in a March. What does that bring up for you these days?
Well, it's just such an exciting time of year, and as a college basketball coach, everything throughout the year is building to this month, and all of your production and productivity throughout the year and your preparation. You really judge it by this month and your performance in this month, and so um, it's so exciting to watch. I think the conference tournaments are very exciting and compelling, and then the NCAA, the national tournament, is always a thrill. So I have um, a 13-year-old daughter right now and 11-year-old daughters that are just obsessed with basketball. And so
Oh,
there's a lot of
wow.
basketball being consumed in the Mitchell household right now. And everybody's excited for the tournament.
Yeah. Does it this feeling of, for you of like the excitement, the moment, I love that part, and then there's also and I don't miss the 20-hour days, right? Like
Right. Well, it's so funny is that I somehow find a way to fill those hours. It's I still just love to coach and love to spend time helping people get better. And but yeah, it's especially this time of year. These college basketball coaches are mighty busy.
Yeah. But before Jerry jumps in, I don't know why this just popped into my head now. But just curious what told you, okay, it's time to do something else. We had Roy Williams on a couple months ago, and he told us the story. He said he had a season where he felt he let his team down a couple times. Like he's like, I had two moments where I felt like I let my team down. If that was going to be me as a coach, I shouldn't be coaching anymore. And so just curious what made you say, time to shift, this part of my life is done.
Yeah, mine was different. Mine was I was am a bit younger than Coach Williams and had not been at that advanced into my career. I had a traumatic brain injury in 2020. We had the world had shut down, and I was running a college basketball program virtually. We were doing everything. The
Mm.
in the spring of 2020, the players finished the semester virtually, academically, and we recruited and we were functioning as a program. And I slipped and fell on going too fast on a rocky path and fell down and hit my head. And I didn't think that much about it. And that was in March of 2020. And in I guess the end of May, maybe early June, we detected I had a subdural hematoma
Mm.
on the right side of my brain, and so I had surgery on that, and uh, had to take a medical leave and had to step back and couldn't get on screens and really had to step away from it for the first time in 25 years of coaching. And so I had some trouble getting back into it that fall, and um and just felt like it was a time to make a pivot in my career at that point in time to step away and take some time away from it. And so that was really the impetus for me. I think if that had never happened, I probably would have just kept rocking right along. But it was the first time that I was able to pause and spend some time away from it, and and so that's sort of what had me pivot into another part of my journey. And that's, when I really enjoyed, some extra time with family, and now I haven't totally retired from basketball because I'm coaching my girls,
Yeah.
and and so that really is what happened for me, and had me make the transition from college and athletics, coaching in that world, to now really living in the business community, and really any type of high aspirational, high performance business, whether it's in business or athletics. I can step in and help people with their any performance issues. We really address underperformance and lead people to sustain success. And that's what I did as a basketball coach. And now that's what I'm doing as a corporate consultant.
And
Well,
you're, yeah, sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
it's interesting to me because people are always asking me, when am I going to retire? John is way too young to retire. And I always say to them, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to rewire and refire.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing to sustain my longevity in this business, which is really demanding. And it sounds to me like you've done a great job of rewiring and refiring uh, based on your experiences right now, which is really commendable. I think a lot of coaches out there listening, maybe a lot of them are thinking, well, maybe I should retire, but it's not the end, is it? It's kind of a beginning.
Boy, for me, gosh, that's so well put, and I love that. And that's exactly what it was for me. It was not a retirement. Um, I think we used that word, and I look back on it now, and I think I would have chosen a different word. I was just trying to be clear.
Yeah.
In our program, I was able to hand that off to my top assistant, and it was not a disruptive um, employment event for anyone. And I just wanted to make sure, I was trying to indicate that I was not stepping away, that I was handing it off to her. But retiring is the furthest thing that you could describe what I'm doing right now. It is rewire, refire. I love that. I've never heard that before,
Well, I'll,
and it
I'll give you one more thing, and that is the word retire has the word tire in it.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
seem to me like you're tired.
no, and so listen, I've written two books now, and traveling the country and
Yeah.
speaking and coaching and training, and so what it gave me an opportunity as far as rewiring goes is I had never so I teach what's called the winning tools. And that's how we built the program. Honesty, hard work, discipline were just the three guiding principles of how we wanted to move through life as a basketball program, as students in the university, as athletes representing the university, and also as citizens that really represented the greater Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they were very visible people in our state, and inspiring. And we wanted to move through that journey in a responsible manner, and we used honesty, hard work, and discipline to do that. And so, as I taught that each and every day, I never wanted a senior to sit in the same meeting over and over and over. And so I created a tremendous amount of leadership content over my 13 years, learned a lot about leadership, evolved in my leadership, uh, just learned so much about it. And so I was able to take all of that and really get it into a cohesive and coherent curriculum for leadership. And so leadership content, really simplified and done well for people. And so that's taken a tremendous amount of energy and effort. And so retired, I am not.
And
What?
we're to benefit from that for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Who influenced you in that? Like, as you're pulling all this different leadership content together, because this is, I think, for many college coaches, one of the most important things they can do is not just, it's not my senior captains, but who are the first year and the second year players that I'm pouring into, so that by the time they are a senior, they transition easily into that. So maybe talk about a couple of your influences in your thinking on leadership, and what that became, and how maybe you work in your younger players into it. So it's not just like, okay, now you're a senior, dump it all on you.
Yeah, it's so true that we have to develop those leaders and help them grow. My very first and most foundational and most important leaders ever in my life were my parents. I was so blessed and benefited from people who were principled based and driven, and just the best example in my life of sticking to their principles. And methods can change over time, but the principles are timeless. And so that's where I learned. My mom and dad, John and Carol Mitchell, are of no great fame, and live in a small town in Mississippi, and just were outstanding examples of leadership that I would, as I progressed through life, would become to greatly appreciate and start to understand. That's where the foundation happened for me. But then that, I think, helped me be attracted to people like them. And I got the great benefit. I was drifting in my early 20s. I think, like a lot of people, equated financial success with success in life. And so I had thought about coaching, and when I was coming through, but coaches, high school teachers and coaches certainly weren't compensated well. And so I was sort of on this chase for financial success that some of my friends were having. And I just was miserable at it. I wasn't doing any good. I wasn't having any success financially. And so one night, I was at my old high school helping my former basketball coach, who also was the leader of the school. We were cleaning up the football stadium one night. It's just the two of us at the end of a football game. And I was lamenting the fact that I felt like I was spinning my wheels, not getting anywhere. And Coach Farrell Rigby said uh, some incredible words to me. He said, "Matthew, I always thought you would make a really good coach.
Yeah.
Why don't you come back and help me this year?"
Mm.
And that was in 1994. And so I went and I assisted him that season. And I can remember the first time I stepped on that basketball court, I was so energized. I felt like a fish in water. I didn't feel like I was out on the pier flopping around trying to find my way. And that's what I'd been doing in life. And man, I got into that. And it was of such great benefit that I started at that level, because I learned how to coach. I learned how to teach skill. So that's a very important part of coaching basketball. It's a highly skilled game. And so I thought I knew a lot about the game, and starting out at that level, coaching junior high and high school athletes really helped me understand and learn how to teach the game and the fundamentals of the game. And it was so funny at the time. I felt like, listen, I was at a real low level, but I look back on it now and have reaching the highest level. That benefited me, and there were so many of those coaches around. So I was just so hungry for knowledge and wanted to do well. I started visiting a lot of different coaches. Anybody that would give me some time, if they were winners and they had successful basketball programs, I tried to get some of their time. And so it's a litany of names there in small town Mississippi that helped me. And then that, of course, led me to the biggest break of my career from a professional standpoint. And that's when I met Coach Pat Summitt at the University of Tennessee.
Mm.
And the great Pat Summitt, she left us far too early from early onset dementia. But had the great fortune of working for her, and then three other women that were Hall of Fame coaches. Carol Ross, Carolyn Peck, and Mickey DeMoss were my uh, bosses in college basketball, and I learned something from all four of them. And so I just had some amazing leaders that helped me find my way, and helped me really forge my leadership philosophy and path.
Yeah. It's so amazing. I know Jerry's got questions cooking here. He gets that look in his eye. But I think it's so important. I meet so many young coaches these days. They want to skip all the steps. They want to
Mm,
skip the trenches and go straight to Kentucky or straight to
yes.
whatever. And that junior high, working with players at every age and stage just gives you the appreciation that everyone comes from a different place and needs something different and develops differently, and like you said, teaches you to teach skill and focus on the basics. And so many coaches, they don't want to get the mud on their face, but that's important. And your story is really inspiring because of that hunger, because of your willingness to just go and reach out and ask and meet people. And and then you get all these Hall of Fame coaches in your life as well. But that's not an accident, right? It's not like, oh, Matthew, what a lucky guy. He got to work for Pat Summitt. It's like
Right.
you scraped a long time and did a lot of stuff and were really hungry for knowledge, so that maybe someone like Pat Summitt notices you and goes,
Yeah.
that's the type of person I want on my staff.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I was one of those coaches that wanted to go straight to Kentucky. Where I wanted to go, guys, I wanted to go to the Lakers. I
Okay.
I loved Magic Johnson growing up, but I quickly found out I couldn't be Magic Johnson as a player. So then I looked on the sidelines, and Coach Riley, Pat Riley, had his hair slicked back and had on a nice suit. I had the same color hair. I said, maybe I can slick my hair back and wear a suit, and I'll coach the Lakers one day. I mean, I wanted to go straight to the big time as well. And that's when I look back on with great appreciation now that journey of those first years. I wouldn't trade for anything. And I see, a lot of my former players, because we were so successful at Kentucky and we were among the nation's best, they were recognized as winners. And so then they had some opportunities to start out at a higher level. And I always cautioned them to make sure that they took advantage of the opportunity, but they rooted themselves in learning the fundamentals of the game, taking what they learned at Kentucky, refining their skills as a teacher. Very different playing than teaching. It's very, very important that you learn how to develop people and help them increase their competency and their skill in an area. And so I was very grateful for that. But you know, once you give yourself an opportunity, or once you gain an opportunity. So Pat Summitt gave me an opportunity. I was one of 100 coaches that was hired at her summer camp. And so the opportunity then was to do your best and let your uh, passion show for it. And I think that's what she saw something in me. And I'll have to be honest, it was not calculated at the time. At that point in time, I was still trying to learn how to, I didn't think that I was a very good coach at the time, but she saw something in me that I didn't even see it in myself at that time. So I was grateful for that opportunity. But skipping steps will never lead us where we ultimately want to be ever. There's just no shortcuts to that sustained success, and we crave that in our company. We want to help people understand that pathway to sustained success over time.
Yeah. Jerry, anything to jump in on that? I
Uh,
mean, you've
are you kidding me? Anything? Oh my gosh. So many things going on in my mind right now. I don't know where to begin. For one thing, you've mentioned the word success about, I have it written down here 8 times. Now I have to add three more because you just did it 3 more times. So success is a really important word for you, and it is for all of us. You write a book, Ready to Win, Ready to Win. Uh, and actually, I spend a lot of time helping people understand that in many ways, losing is winning.
Mm.
I think that from crisis comes opportunity. In Chinese, they translate the word crisis to mean opportunity blowing on a dangerous wind. You certainly experienced it personally, didn't you? You had a crisis. You went through that crisis, and it gave you an opportunity to really, I think, what I'm hearing is find your meaning, your deeper meaning in life. And not that you didn't have meaning coaching at Kentucky, it was certainly that way, but it led you to this place now in your life where you can really see you're writing books and you're really influencing more than 14 players for sure. But anyway, so one of the expressions I have is not that I have, but I've read it, 2,500 years old expression. and it said, "We lose, yet in this way win." It's an ancient Taoist proverb. We lose, yet in this way win. When I read that passage, it was like it completely changed my whole view of success and winning. Now, with that as a backdrop, when I read your book, Ready to Win, I was real curious, and now you get a chance to help me with this. Like, what does it mean to you to win? And you use that word success, and how do you define success? And then, of course, we could lead into the question is one of the things you like to say is the house always wins. So we tie the winning all together, and I'm wondering if you can unpack that a little bit to help
Yeah,
us all understand. Yeah.
absolutely. I love the idea that there are no losses. Everything is for our benefit. And in basketball, there was a scoreboard that lets you know on that particular game whether you won or you lost. And so scoreboards can be helpful. We need metrics. We need to know, be able to track where our performance is, and all of that is important. What I think that I've learned was a major, major shift that I made in my life. And I, for so long, was trying to be the best basketball coach in the country, in the world. I was trying to be the best. And the shift that I've been able to make, and that is just filled with a perfectionist mindset that, if you're not on top at the end of the season, so this we're in tournament time, and 342 schools had a chance to qualify for the tournament. 68 made it, but only one is going to hold the trophy. There's only going to be one. And we got our program to that level that where we could compete for that. That was a realistic expectation when we were going into the season. And I had some real trouble when we did not make it to number one. And I lost perspective on how far we had come. We accomplished so much. It was historic what we accomplished for Kentucky women's basketball. As great as Kentucky men's basketball has been for over 100 years, we did not have that kind of tradition, and we came so far. But when I was caught up in a perfectionist attitude and mindset, I only saw the losses as being failure, and instead, and what happened in the shift, and the thing that I'm most grateful for as far as it pertains to my pursuit of success, is I was able to learn how to make a shift from perfection to excellence. And so instead of pursuing perfection, which in many ways paralyzed my progress, so many times I would doubt myself, I would question what I was doing, I would just spend so much energy worrying about the next step, and would oftentimes be paralyzed by perfection. When I learned this shift from being the best, which I can't control so many things that are going on with that, to being my best and pursuing excellence over perfection, and learning that excellence is so rewarding. We write about that in the book. The number one mindset of being a level 5 preparer is grasping this that I'm talking about right now, that the pursuit of excellence is exhilarating, and it shows us all the possibilities, and it opens up this idea of no losses, only lessons. We just learn from any challenges, any place where we may feel like we fall short on the metrics. We can then analyze that, evaluate that, learn what we need from that, and then move forward and just wake up the next day trying to be the very best coach I can be, parent, husband. It just has made a huge shift in my life.
Hmm.
And that's what I share about in the book.
Yeah. You know, thank you for sharing that. Uh, I've had a honor and opportunity to work with some amazing female coaches, Tara Vanderveer at Stanford and Gail Gestenkors at Duke. And, we went to Final Fours with these teams. And I remember Tara telling me, well, this was a kind of a coordinated effort between she and I. She said, Jerry, I guess the best question I could ask my team today, and this is after they got knocked out in the Sweet 16 one year. She said, I guess the best question I could ask is, why are we really a better team because of that loss? That's shocking. How many coaches would entertain that idea? Oh, so you ask your athletes, we're a better team because of it. Why? And have them identifying it,
Mm.
which then they start to look at loss as a gift, as something where we can grow and expand and become better versions of ourselves. What do you think about that comment?
Oh, I think it's just the reason she's one of the greats of all time. Had had the good fortune of knowing her, and you think about what what I really admire about Coach Vanderveer is she had tremendous success early in her career, won the national championship in '90 and '92, and so she's in a real hot stretch there. And then she goes almost 30 years, but continues to be a great coach, Final Fours, NCAA tournaments.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, at the end of her career, wins another national championship. And just so the picture of sustained success lies right there with her and her performance. But she's a person that understood and enjoyed, I believe, and was passionate about helping people be better.
Hmm.
And she found that in herself, but then she shared it with these players. And I've gotten to know a lot of her players, and so I just have the deepest admiration for her. And I think it's just a testament to a lifelong pursuit of trying to help other people. And what a great attitude, because I can tell you, as a young and immature coach, I would react to a loss like it was some type of devastation. Here's a great perspective on that I'd love to share. We were playing, um, we were playing in 2012 for a very important game in the race for the Southeastern Conference Championship, which is the best league in college basketball for women at the time. So strong. And we had a chance. We had a team that could win the championship, and for the first time ever, a regular season championship was possible for the University of Kentucky. We were playing Tennessee. Coach Summit was coaching Tennessee, and we were the two best teams. And so this game was going to go a long way. It wasn't the final game of the season, but it was going to go a long way in determining who the champion was. And we win the game at the end 61-59. Our best player makes a layup to go 60. It's 60-59. We make the shot 61-60. Great game, sold out crowd. Everybody's crazy. Front page of the paper. Back when the front page there were papers. It was front page. It was not on the front sports page. It's front page. Huge deal. I'm talking to one of these high school coaches I alluded to earlier, Les Triplett. He's a Hall of Fame high school coach in the state of Mississippi. He said, "How are you feeling today?" I said, "Man, I am on top of the world. We beat Tennessee. I am just I just don't know what I'm so excited. I can't believe this has happened. I'm so excited, and we just got to keep going and keep getting better." He said, "Well, let me ask you this. How would you feel? You feel that way 60-61. How would you feel if that shot had not gone in and it was 60-59?" And I said, "Oh gosh, I don't know if I could have slept last night. I don't know if I could have, gotten to the office. I'd been so devastated." And he said, "I want you to think about that, because this is what I want you to learn, is that there's 2 points that separate that result. One basket. So basically, if you make the basket or you miss the basket, the game, what you have to learn out of that experience is all there for you. And so you can't be clouded by the emotion of winning or losing. You need to look at this and find the value that's there for your players so they can move forward in their career and keep getting better." But it was just a great, great lesson. And I think that's what Coach Vanderveer is asking her players is
Yeah,
let's examine this for the value that exists. It's
right.
our job to go in and extract the value of these experiences. And if we get tied up in the emotion of winning and losing or the metrics of that, we miss a great opportunity to learn. And that's what I think of when I contemplate your question.
And I mean, I think what's amazing about this story is we all have this outcome bias, right? And then when the outcome works out, we justify our decisions for ourselves. Oh, that was a good decision. I drove through the blizzard because I made it. But if I end up in a ditch, it was a terrible decision. But realistically, the actions were the same. It's just the outcome was different. And I think it's such an important point, and it really is a great segue into your book, which is all about preparation, because all the preparation was done, and whether that layup went in or missed, it didn't change everything that happened before it to say, no, we did everything we could to be ready for that game. And I think this gets into, Jerry asked a two-parter before, but talk about your concept, which I really liked, about that the house always wins, and how this relates to preparation, because I think it's a really nice analogy to think about coaching or preparation in any other aspect of life.
Yeah, the house always wins over time. And so you certainly there's people that go in, and when we're talking about the house in a casino, there's people that win, uh, have winning days, or they have, a success. They hit something on a slot machine, or they have a great hand in a card game or something. But over time, the house wins. And that's what we're trying to say, is that over time, if we will position ourselves, if we will allow preparation to powerfully position us to win, that over time we are going to, outcome based, metrically based, we're going to have more success than we have, more wins than we have losses. And so I didn't win every single game that I coached in my career, but we won 7 out of 10, and
Yeah.
7 out of 10 allowed us to be among the nation's best. And so our preparation sets us up for that sustained success. And so that's the concept. And then what it's our job. You just said it beautifully. We can't control the outcome, but we can control the position we put ourselves in to be ready in these moments. And when we do that, my contention is, over time, we are going to be people that enjoy great success if we will pay attention to this piece of our life, that we can exercise effort and energy and attitude. All those three things we have some control over. And if we will give ourselves to this process of preparation that I lay out in the book, I think you put yourself in position over and over and over again to be successful.
And as you speak about in the book, you give an example of, okay, here's a game, and we've broken down the film, and we know we're going to beat this opponent if we can, full court press and high press them all game long. But the ability to do that doesn't happen this week. It happened 8 months ago when the last
Correct.
season ended, and we got stronger and we got fitter, and we ate well and we slept well, and we bought into that. And I think everyone wants to win on Saturday. That's not a
Yes.
differentiator, right?
Yeah.
You got to want to win months and months ahead of time and give yourself the basis so that on Saturday we're going to press them for 40 minutes, and we're going to be in their face all day long, and we have the ability to do that because of all the work you did last summer.
Yes, the cycle of an NCAA tournament team is 9 months. So you start forming actually in the middle of June,
Yeah.
and you're hoping that runs all the way till mid to late
Yeah.
March, early
Yeah.
April. And so you you have to have some vision, and your preparation, I think, is fueled by your principles, your philosophy, and then your plan. You have to have those three things as you start the endeavor. So we were going to be about honesty, hard work, discipline. Those were the principles that we would rely on to help us navigate the season. our philosophy was we were going to be the most aggressive, up tempo, full court pressing team that we could possibly be. That was our philosophy. That was different than other people. That didn't mean that that was the one for everybody, but that was our philosophy. So we had our principles, we had our philosophy. So now our plan had to incorporate those two things. And to your point in the book, when we talk about the game we were prepared to win, was all because we knew who we were, we knew what we were about, our principles, we knew what our philosophy was. And so then we started to train to be that team 9 months later. And that's what I encourage people. What is your NCAA tournament in your profession? What is that thing that you are out there that you'll be measured upon, and your success will be evaluated? And so, as a college basketball coach, it's pretty straightforward. If you're the coach at Kentucky, you're expected to compete at a high level and make the NCAA tournament and advance in the NCAA tournament. And so I think that's helpful for people to get that in their mind, and then they have to decide their principles. Then you can choose what philosophy, how you want to approach life or your business or your accomplishments. And then that helps inform your plan.
Yeah.
So let me jump in, John,
Yeah,
please.
Jer.
So John Wooden is a mentor to many of us, continues to be. Now, I don't know how this question, there's two questions. Number one is, he said, like, what are the 7 top important things in your program that lead to success? And he said the first one is preparation. So I'm sure you're glad to hear that.
Yeah.
The
Very.
second thing, however, was preparation. The third item, preparation. And we can go down 4, 5, 6, and 7,
Yeah.
and you're going to hear the same thing.
Yeah.
How does that reinforce you, right? So you're writing this book now, how great leaders, he certainly was qualified for that, succeed through preparation. But he also said one other thing that I find very interesting. And I just finished writing a book. It'll be out in May, and it's called Lead with Love.
Mm.
And I call it the number one coaching success strategy to build strong relationships and winning teams. Of course, Steve Kerr was on our podcast last year, and we asked him what was the most important game that he ever won that season that he won the first championship. And he said the relationship game.
Mm.
Interesting,
Yeah.
huh? And then, but back to John Wooden, Coach Wooden, for a minute. When he retired, he didn't really retire either. He rewired and refired. He did a lot of his best works after retirement. However, they asked him, so Coach, what is the one thing that you feel is the most important element to your success in coaching? And these are time they had the microphones. They didn't have the phones there to record him. And he said, "That's easy, guys." He said, "I had a lot of love in my coaching." What does that mean to you? And if it does have meaning for you, can you share with us some of the ways that you had that going on in your wonderful culture that we're continuing to learn about?
I do. But my parents loved me enough to teach me what I needed to know, guided me in what I needed to do, and uh, weren't ever hampered by the emotions of what I wanted. And so I think a great coach, when they love their players enough that they will guide them where they need to go, and they do it in a way that helps them understand that it's going to be a better way than where they want to go, because there's so
Yeah.
many times in life where we want something that we don't necessarily need. And in athletics, there's so many lessons to learn. And I think what Coach Wooden and Coach Kerr both were able to do was to help their players understand through this language of love instead of so many examples in coaching over time was the fear of losing, or I hate losing, or I hate losing more than I love winning, and that type of attitude.
Or the fear that they're going to lose control if they show
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
And I think that there's a litany of examples there of where a coach won a championship or had a good career. Coach Wooden has had lifelong and beyond, really, uh, absolutely infinite impact. As long as people are on this earth, they're going to study what John Wooden taught. And that, to me, is the power of love and finding a way to guide these people where they need to go and helping them understand. And so, I evolved through my career. I was very afraid of failure. I would be so less than authentic if I said that I was not. But thank goodness, and I'm very thankful and feel very blessed that I was able to learn over time that fear has a shelf life and will not uh, have lasting
Yeah. Yeah.
impact, and love will.
Right.
Love
Well,
absolutely. And
it's
so,
interesting you mentioned fear because there are a lot of coaches out there that if you discuss the aspect of love, uh, they're going to get freaked out. It's going to be like kumbaya,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
all hold hands.
right.
And nothing could be further from the truth, right? So when you talk about a Wooden or a Steve Kerr or Phil Jackson or Tara Vanderveer or Pat Summitt, they're very demanding.
Very.
And some people don't understand that being demanding, like I demand something from you today on this podcast. I demand that you address the questions. I'm demanding that you give us your best possible response. And why? Because I love you for who you are as a human being, and I want people to read this book because it's going to help them. So out of love, I think a lot of it gets misinterpreted as to what it is, and it's perhaps one of the most important ingredients in a culture. When people feel love and not fear, they go the distance, don't they? I
Oh,
know Dean Smith, to name another coach, I felt that in his presence when I would have a meeting with him. It would be like, wow, I feel this way. I'm going to tear it down. Ask me, I'll do anything for you. So anyway, I was just,
well, it's so true. Last night, speaking of Steve Kerr, they lost a game that they really didn't need to lose and shouldn't have lost to an inferior opponent. And his comments after the game, he was not happy, and he said, "Listen, we did not play up to the standard," but there was no unkindness in what he said, but there was just total honesty,
yeah,
and he was not pleased. But he loves his players enough to let them know what the standard is and whether we're playing to the standard or we're playing above the standard or where that is. That's a real act of love, is to be demanding of people, because that's the beauty of coaching. And that's what I love so much about coaching. For whatever reason, a coach can help us get further than we can go on our own. There's just that magical um, exchange that happens between performer and coach, that we're a great coach helps us raise our level, helps us go to places that we don't know that we can go on our own, or helps us believe things that we may
yeah.
have be limiting ourselves on our own beliefs. The coach helps us lifts us out of that. So um, I think that love is so powerful, and it is something that I uh, think is vital for people to get to their greatest potential.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and demanding is an act of love. I mean, your whole book, preparation is an act of love. And you can, you know, scare people into preparing. If you don't prepare, I'm going to fire you at the end of the
Yep.
year if you don't meet these metrics or whatever. But coming at that from love, gets, like you said, that's what can breed the sustained success. You might get it for one season out of fear,
Right.
but
Right.
then, especially in this day and age of athletics, people are just going to leave, right? They don't want that. That's not what they signed up for, to be humiliated and degraded and dehumanized and whatever. And so this is, we live in a world of sports where not only is it the right thing to do, but you kind of have to, or you lose everyone every year anyway. And so I think this is such an important thing, and it gets back to your book, right? When you are creating this standard, as you mentioned, a standard being something that people aspire to, right? And you create it out of love. I'm creating this standard because I love you and I believe in you and I know you can meet this standard and we can meet this standard, right? And therefore, we're going to prepare and we're going to be the best team at preparing. We're going to be, we had a hockey Hall of Famer, Marty St. Louis, on this podcast, and I said, "What was your secret? Well, how'd you make the Hall of Fame?" He goes, "I think I was just really good at getting better. I was better than most people at getting better," right? It's pretty simple, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. That's so powerful. And what I think happens to us so many times when we are thinking about performance, um, the places where I have had to break through is the narratives that I will tell myself. And I think as it goes in preparation, we talk about this in the book. Uh, you need to understand that preparation can put you in this powerful position, and you need to get to three yeses that can help you believe in yourself. And so, do I have the talent? Do I have the skill or competency? Do I have the energy? And when I get to those three, so if you are in a position right now uh, and you're doubting your talent, the people who have put you in that position, who have hired you or who have recruited you or have you on the team, unless they tell you you don't have the talent, that's a great indication that you have enough talent to do the job, or you wouldn't be there. I mean, people don't want to have people who are trying to aspire for greatness are not going to have people that don't have enough talent to get the job done. So once you believe you have that, now we move on to skill competency. That's where I that he was better than most people at getting better. That's a testament to him investing in his skill, investing in his competency. And I think there's never been a greater time for us to invest in ourselves with the freedom that we have to get information. I mean, heck, we can go back and watch Coach Wooden YouTube videos of Coach Wooden all day if we want to. But there's so much access to us improving.
Hmm.
So we either have the competency and the skill that we need, or we go get it, increase it, and then we get to a yes there. And then our energy. So everyone thinks about energy as physical, but I really in the book think it's so important. Our emotional energy is so important. Our emotions and making sure we pay attention to that, to having a healthy relationship with ourself and believing in ourself. And so there's these two voices in my head throughout my career. There would be this voice of, man, you're gonna do something, you're gonna get there. I think that was created. My parents, told us to believe in ourselves. But then there was this over time, this fearful voice that was like, who are you? What do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna fail. That's my inner critic. And I have to recognize that voice is there just to try to keep me from taking the risks that are required for us to really achieve something meaningful. And so I love to tell people this story. We had a very heated rivalry with South Carolina, and Coach Dawn Staley is now one of the favorites to win the women's college national basketball championship, and she had a great program then. And so when I'd go to South Carolina, there was a fan every time, and we went once a year, and they had a great turnout and great fan support. And there was this one fan and would heckle me just mercilessly all game long to the spot where over the years I got a kick out of it, and we kind of became we would joust back and forth a little bit in a good natured way. But he was my critic. He was telling me what I couldn't do and what I couldn't accomplish. And so what I tell people to do with their inner critic, just thank the inner critic for trying to protect you from whatever risk you have to take. But I would, just like that guy, I would like to put him up in the rafters and he could yell all day long, put him up in the nosebleed section, but I can't hear him. So just get your inner critic and say, hey, listen, you're just going to have to go up into the nosebleed section and watch from up there, because I'm not listening to this. I'm going to choose to encourage myself. And I think that's important for us as we're thinking about accomplishing and having sustained success, is making sure our emotional energy, we pay attention to that, and we try mightily to make sure that that's in its right place. So we have the talent, we have the skill, we have the energy. We get to those three yeses. Now we're ready to make this plan. Now we're ready to get prepared. And that preparation is going to fuel us as we go about the execution phase.
So how does this so what phenomenon fit into what you just said? Or does it? I know in your book you talk about the so what phenomenon. What is that about as it relates to preparation? Is that an attitude? Is that a perception? Is that something we need to pay attention to?
Yeah, I just think that really trying to bring what we're wanting to accomplish into focus. And when we can do that, now we know exactly where to deploy this energy I was just talking about. And, I think there's times where things that are coming to us, or challenges that are coming to us, that we have to learn to let go of. Again, just evaluating where's the value that I can get from that. And then there's real concerns that are coming our way that we have to address and we have to dig into. And so I think just a healthy balance there can keep us in a good frame of mind.
Yeah.
I love the expression, so what? I mean, really, when I look around the world and all the things that are happening, so many things we're worried about and complaining about. And I would imagine in the basketball arena and all other arenas of sports, people are worried about things they cannot control. And as long as you cannot control something, it's so what? If you can control it, then it's not a so what. So I can control how I prepared for this meeting with you out of respect to you. John and I definitely didn't want to just show up and wing it.
Yeah.
And you probably did the same. And so we all prepared well. And it's not a so what situation because we can control it.
Yeah.
But, oftentimes, we just you can't control outcomes and results. And so what means to me, so what do we do about it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What do we do? So you lose a game. It's not like, what did you learn?
Yeah.
Not what went wrong, but what needs work. And that's the so what. So what are you going to do about it? Because we need to find out what needs work. Even if you win, what needs work, right? I mean,
exactly. 100%.
Yeah. Because the illusion created from a victory is that we got it all down,
No question.
So what are we to do now that we've won? What are we to do now that we've lost? What are we to do now that we've had this wonderful conversation for this last hour?
Yeah. I love that. I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's fun.
Matthew, any final thoughts as we wrap up? I obviously want to give you a chance to tell people how to connect with you, website, how to get the new book, Ready to Win, but also just any final thoughts for our coaches and athletes and listening to this podcast this week around whatever topic you like.
Yeah, I just want to encourage anyone who's listening. I just know that if they're taking time out to consume this type of content, they have a vision for where their life can go, and they have plans and they have aspirations. And I just want to encourage them that preparation, that this book is a great companion for them to get the most out of their potential, to really contemplate how this system can help you perform at a higher level, help you sustain success. And I just want to encourage them on that. There's some, I'm so excited to share this with the world, because it took me, 30 years in coaching to learn all of this. And the fact that I'm able to share that with someone, I like to write these books thinking about where I was at 25 years old and at the beginning of my journey. And so
Oh boy.
I just want to encourage people
Yeah.
to get that. And so it's Ready to Win is wherever is online, wherever you buy your books online, and in some bookstores, but it's everywhere online. And we just March 18th released the paperback edition, and so you can pick that up now. And and then CoachMatthewMitchell.com. You can find out what we're doing. We speak. We're doing workshops. We do executive coaching, and so love to get into executive teams and really help them with their performance and take them to a higher level. But I'm just grateful for the journey that I'm on. I'm grateful to be with two wonderful leaders like you two. I have so much respect for what you both do, and this has been amazing.
Well, listen, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation. It was great preparing for this to read the book and go through it and discuss it with Jerry and how can we approach this and weave in some other things that might not be in the PR materials and you've really given us some fantastic insight. So thank you so much for being on the Way of Champions.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're more than a coach, you're a human being.
Thank
Jerry, that was a wonderful conversation with Matthew Mitchell, huh? That was really cool. I enjoyed that a ton.
I did too, John. And if you read between the lines with everything he was saying, I think what I come away with is how he was being.
Hmm.
And when someone's being authentic and genuine and open and vulnerable, I want to play for that coach.
Yeah.
And so I think those are the qualities we didn't have a chance to dive into. But I wanted to point out that when I'm listening to him, it's not so much the content as it was, how he was being. When it comes to the content, however, the first thing that jumps off the page at me was that he, like so many of us, have come through a background of perfectionism, which is just reserved for the gods. I mean, we can't be perfect. And I like the way he takes perfectionism and turns it into striving for excellence.
Hmm.
Excellence you can control.
Hmm. Hmm.
Perfection you cannot.
Yeah.
I can define excellence by my standards. Be the hardest working team on the floor. Come early to practice. Uh, you can define it. It's clear. So I thought, he's a successful coach. And again, our message to all coaches is you want to be successful, you got to pick up on the behaviors on how these people are being and how their perspective on winning and perfection and how that impacts the way we go and coach.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just this idea of his story of his old coach about, those 2 points, making that layup or not, if it changes your whole emotional outlook on what just happened beforehand, you're just not going to be there as a coach. You can't put all your value on that layup going in, right? You have to put the value on, did I do the work? Did I prepare myself? Did I prepare my team? And then sometimes let the chips fall as they may. But this
Yeah,
basic philosophy that
yeah,
if you prepare over and over and over and you prepare better than other people, you're going to
yeah,
win more than you lose.
yeah. And I like what you say. In the long run, you're going to win more than you lose, and that gets back to the expression, "The house always wins."
Yeah.
John, I've known that expression all my life. The house always wins, and I'm always applying it to the wrong things.
Yeah.
And I've never heard it applied to this segment, and now that's what I've learned really now is that talking to coaches, you might not win today, you might not win this season, but the house always wins when you prepare well, when you
Mhm.
do all the little things and you compete every time you go out on the floor and your hardest working team. Control what you can. Ultimately, you win. And it might not be the scoreboard, but you'll have the best program that you possibly could have had. And that was a real good takeaway for me.
Yeah, no, I really like that one as well. That was excellent. So, all right, everyone. Well, thanks again for listening. Thanks again to Matthew Mitchell. The book is called Ready to Win. You can get it wherever books are sold. Another great coaching conversation here on the Way of Champions. And
Really.
when you talk to a guy like Matthew, you can tell his influence, it's not neutral. And when you go and you prepare and you bring the right attitude, your players notice that, your workers, your coworkers notice that, and you're going to use your influence for good, aren't you?
Yeah, well, he comes from a place of love, not fear.
Yeah.
And when you come from fear, fear of losing, fear of not being good enough, fear of losing control of your athletes, then what happens is you cast your team into darkness. And
Mm,
when you come from love, demanding from your athletes, giving to your athletes, making them feel important, valued, and respected and empowered, when you come from that place, then you light up the arena. And
mhm,
he's the kind of coach that I know lit up the arena because he came from that strong place of love, not fear.
Hard work is love made visible, everyone. So go
I
out
love
there and
that.
work hard this week. Use your
Yeah.
influence for good. We'll see you
Yep.
again next week, all.